A young girl sat motionless on the edge of the bench and gazed blankly into the distance with her huge grey eyes. Despite her rather scruffy appearance, she was pretty. The chilly breeze was ruffling her thick but unwashed blonde hair, and occasionally made her nervously pull her thin, dirty jacket across her chest. The suburban station platform was crowded at this time, but people were walking by, occasionally bumping into the trembling poor figure and quickly averting their eyes, hurrying on with their business. Ben Harper was sitting on one of the nearby benches. He silently watched the girl and sighed heavily from time to time. Every weekend he would leave the station and go to his summer house that he had bought just after he had retired. He spent every weekend there and sometimes lived there for weeks at a time. The man was lonely. He had devoted all his life to his work in the prosecutor's office, and he had never had a family. It happened a few days ago. He was waiting for the train to his summer cottage when he noticed this girl there for the first time. He could not understand why, but at that moment his heart ached, reminding him of an old heart wound that had never been fully healed. The first time, he simply walked by because he was worried that he would miss his train. But all day long, trying to do his gardening, he was unable to concentrate in any way. A strange pain in his heart troubled him day and night, and in front of his eyes, like an obsession, there was the face of that girl from the station. The resemblance was striking. The girl was like two peas in a pod with Sarah, his first and only love, whom he had so foolishly lost. Sarah was the prettiest girl around. Mr. Harper, madly in love with her, was painfully aware of their social inequality and was constantly jealous of everyone. Mr. Harper always felt that he, being the son of a cleaning lady and not knowing his father, was not a good match for Sarah, who was born in a family of a successful realtor and a plastic surgeon. He was afraid that Sarah would soon realize this too. He was so jealous of everyone around her. They used to fight about it a lot. Then they would make up. But one day Sarah's patience ran out, and she said that it was all over between them. Mr. Harper didn't show up for a couple of months, holding a grudge, but finally, realizing that his life had no meaning without Sarah, he came to her with flowers to ask for forgiveness. But it was too late. Sarah had moved away, and no work connections helped him find his girlfriend. Mr. Harper was anxious, nearly went crazy, began drinking alcohol, and then was able to stop and pull himself together, plunging himself into work. Over time, the pain subsided, but his personal life never worked out. However, Mr. Harper did not complain about life. He believed that everything was well, and he planned to live quietly in retirement. But the meeting at the station awakened long-forgotten memories in him, and now they would not let him live in peace. He was suffering for 2 days, convincing himself that everything would be all right with the girl. But back in the city, Mr. Harper saw her again in the same place. Now he couldn't stand it and went up to her. "Why are you sitting here all the time? What happened to you?" he asked. "I don't know," whispered the stranger in a lifeless voice. Mr. Harper was puzzled by her answer, but in the next second he forcefully held out his hand and told her to follow him. The girl looked at him, grabbed his hand and then stood up, but suddenly staggered. Mr. Harper realized that most likely she had not eaten anything for these days. Once they got to his home, Mr. Harper gave her some bath things and the clothes he had bought on the way, and while the stranger was taking a shower, he ordered takeout from a cafe. When his guest came out of the bathroom, clean and combed, Mr. Harper thought she looked even more like Sarah. He even imagined that by that age she could have been his and Sarah's granddaughter, but unfortunately he had ruined everything himself. Mr. Harper set the table and offered dinner, When it was time for tea, he cautiously asked the girl what her name was. I don't remember, she answered and started crying. Mr. Harper already regretted that he had asked and decided that tomorrow he would show the poor girl to Dr. Simmons, his friend the psychiatrist, hoping that he would help the stranger. But Dr. Simmons was not so optimistic. Without knowing the causes of amnesia, it was difficult to make any predictions. After the examination, he said that, judging by the tests, the girl had been given some kind of substance, and the portion was so high that it had provoked the loss of memory. Her health is apparently strong because she had survived, and her mental health had not been affected, Dr. Simmons summed up. Her memory should return to her on its own, but I can't tell you the time frame. The main thing for her now is a quiet life. After listening to the verdict, Mr. Harper decided to take his ward to his country house. Life in nature helped the girl regain her vitality, and a smile began to appear on her face. It turned out that she was a good cook and loved gardening, but her memory was never recovered. One day the girl was enthusiastically pruning a hedge, and Mr. Harper was watering roses nearby, thinking aloud, "Bushes are good, honey, but I love flowers, especially roses. They're the reason I bought this house. When I came to see it, I thought it was heaven on earth. The roses bloomed so beautifully," laughed Mr. Harper, but suddenly lost his voice when he saw how his ward fell to the ground with a cry. Mr. Harper brought ammonia from home and revived the girl. "I have remembered everything. My name is Alice, and I have been robbed," she whispered and burst into tears. "And I don't have a home anymore, and I don't have a job either," she added, sobbing. After calming down a little, Alice said that she had never known her father, and that her mother had died under the wheels of a car when she was only 5 years old. She was placed in an orphanage, and when she grew up, she returned to her mother's apartment, learned a pastry cooking profession, and got a job. She was dreaming of saving up for a country house, but she knew it would take years. And suddenly a businessman decided to construct a shopping mall on the site of her block, so he bought out all the apartments for good money. Alice began to look through advertisements for houses for sale. She immediately came across a lovely place with a big rose garden. There was such an aroma there that Alice immediately decided to buy it. "That's why, when you mentioned roses, something immediately clicked in my head, and my memory came back," Alice explained. Then Alice remembered that the landlady was a decent-looking elderly woman, and they arranged to meet at the notary's office. After signing the contract and handing over the money, Alice agreed to go with the woman to a cafe and have coffee together. And that was the last thing she could remember. She woke up in a muddy puddle outside the train station. Barely making it to a bench on the platform, she sat there until Mr. Harper approached her. "Thank you, Mr. Harper. There are no more compassionate people like you," she added at the end. "Do you mind if I stay with you a little longer? I just don't have anywhere to go, but I'll get a job and reimburse you for all your expenses." "Live as long as you need to, of course. It's your home now, too," Mr. Harper hastily replied. The owner of the cafe where Alice used to work gladly took her back, as she valued the talented pastry chef very much. After she had disappeared, she tried to look for her. She even filed a complaint with the police, but it was not accepted. At Mr. Harper's insistence, Alice filed a police report, but the case ended up unsolved. The notary was a fake, and the sale contract was a lie, and the swindlers covered up all traces of their fraud. Mr. Harper was desperate to do something to help the poor girl, and decided to try to find her relatives, or rather, to make sure that there was no one left. He asked Alice for a photo of her mother, and put up an ad on all the web resources dealing with missing person searches. A couple of weeks later, he got a phone call. A woman's voice on the phone, who sounded familiar, excitedly asked about the photo on the site. "I'm Paula's mother. What's wrong with her? I haven't seen her in over 20 years. Mr. Harper was tensely silent, not knowing how to tell the woman who called that her daughter had died. Gathering his strength, he replied, I'm sorry, but your daughter is dead. But you have a granddaughter, Alice, who is all grown up now." He heard sobs, and then the woman asked for the address and said she would come soon. In the evening, Mr. Harper told Alice about the call, and she was thrilled to find out that she had a real grandmother. She impatiently awaited her arrival, while Mr. Harper was sad, realizing he would soon lose his newfound close person. Alice, seeing that the elderly became upset, bustled about him, prepared him a hot tea, saying that he needed to take care of himself, because there are no more people like him. And Mr. Harper was looking at Alice, and thought that apparently this was his fate, to die alone. With these thoughts, Mr. Harper was up all night, and in the morning the doorbell rang. When he opened the door, he was numb. There was his Sarah, standing on the threshold. She had gotten older, but she was as beautiful as ever. "Ben?" said the woman in shock, and began to sink to the floor. Mr. Harper picked Sarah up and carried her to the couch. When she came to her senses, she immediately told the whole story. Her daughter Paula had always been stubborn and willful, but she studied well and even graduated with honours. Her studies at a prestigious university were ahead of her, but unfortunately she met Trevor, who had already had several criminal records at the age of 24. Sarah, of course, was against their relationship, but she put too much pressure on her daughter, and she ran away from home. Sarah used all the connections, but they could not find her. The elderly woman became silent, tears welling up in her eyes. "I'm sorry," was all Mr. Harper could say, "but you still have a beautiful granddaughter." "Mr. Harper, you have her too now," Sarah said with a sigh. Mr. Harper's heart raced, and he looked at Sarah with incomprehensible eyes. "Yes, Mr. Harper, Alice is your granddaughter too, and Paula was our daughter. I didn't know I was pregnant when I had left then." When Alice returned from work and saw the grey-haired woman looking lovingly into her eyes, she immediately understood everything, and barely restraining her sobs, threw herself into her arms. Soon Mr. Harper and Sarah were married and joined their lives together, albeit late. Alice was happy because she found the family she had been deprived of for so many years.